My name is Adam Taylor. I'm the president of APM Music. APM stands for Associated Production Music. We're a joint venture between EMI Music Publishing and Universal Music, and we've been around since 1983. I joined the company about 6.5 years ago. I have a background in running intellectual property companies of various kinds, and was lucky enough to have the opportunity to run APM. I knew nothing about the production music business, didn't know it existed. And I'd actually been working down in Florida for a .com opportunity and doing some interesting things down there, but was really looking to get back to New York or Los Angeles. And a friend of mine who was one of the principal executives over at Zamba Music was down visiting his folks. He's an old friend. We were literally sitting on the beach and with our kids running around the background, our feet in the water, and I mentioned I was looking for something new, and he said they were looking for somebody new to run the company that they co-owned with EMI. I went up for interviews, met everybody, and was very impressed with what I saw and what I learned. Did a lot of research and was fortunate enough to be offered the position. Yeah, it's actually entirely different. Firstly, we run as kind of an autonomous company in the sense that we don't share operations or executives or any kind of staff or anything. But we have a board of directors that are from both of the companies, and there's a big difference between library music and commercially released music. Commercially released music, the objective obviously is to release it commercially to the public for mechanical licensing for sales of CDs and digital downloads. Library music is music specifically made or organized in order to be used in film and television and video games and other forms of synchronization. So in many cases the music can be the same kind of music. It can be a song, in a rock song, it could be jazz, it could be blues, it could be world music from any country in the world that has a traditional standard song structure. It could also be music that's used for score. So it could be film score, it could be TV score, video game score. It can be background music that's used, as an underscore for the spoken word. And it can be music that has like sound design and is trying to achieve a certain mood. And so it really covers the gamut of all of the different types of music. So it's meant to be a mass of music that is a comprehensive resource for people who are producing visual or audio programming like radio. And so it's not meant to be marketed on a song-by-song basis. We are under the umbrellas of the publishing entities of our two parent companies. We are more of an asset-based business than a marketing business in the sense that we're not marketing stars. Our success is not based on a huge hit. We don't have huge hits. Not that I wouldn't like more Monday Night Football themes, but we don't... The Monday Night Football theme could go away, and it's not going to affect our success. And we don't see the peaks and valleys of marketing of companies that are kind of marketing companies like the record companies. A different type of business, and the underlying right that we control is the publishing. And we're a one-stop shop. We have publishing and master. So it starts with the composition, and then we produce the master on top of that. The whole nature of library business is that it's pre-cleared for use without restriction. You don't have to go back and negotiate. If you've heard it, you've seen it in the library, you know you can use it as long as you're willing to pay our rate. We don't have the rate card on the website, but we send it out to clients actually physically or by email, like a PDF file. We have a very, very large list of tens of thousands of clients. We're told that we're the largest production library in the United States. These clients come to us on a regular basis, and we work with a number of different type of deal structures. We have contracts with clients where we will do an entire network, for example, or we'll do an entire series or an episode. And then we have what's called needle drop, where people want one particular track, and they call us up and say, do you have something in this kind of style? And we'll send them a list of X number of tracks, and they listen to them, and if they like them, they use it, and they pay us. And then just to answer the other part of your question, we also have, we search out for clients, of course. We read all the trades, and we do research, and we're always adding new clients to the roster. And people, of course, come to us, word of mouth primarily. In the United States, we have about 40 people. This does not include composers or any of the contractors that we hire for composers, songwriters, performers, editors, any of that. All of that is done on a freelance basis. And then we have sister companies in other countries around the world. Collectively, probably with all of the different territories, there are a few hundred people who are doing what we do and part of this kind of collective of licensing this body of work. In our company, we focus on sales. And we have 12 salespeople and 4 music directors who work with the clients all day. And we have 5 or 6 account services people. And so we have over 20 people who speak to clients every day about their music usage. Any kind of synchronization with a visual product or with an audio product. So for example, on a radio show, if it's a talk show and you need music as an intro or underneath what you're doing, we do a lot of radio licensing. The rest of it, and we do podcasts, and the rest of it is visual synchronization. It could be with a slideshow. It could be on a web page, it could be in a video, it could be in a video game. We also do a lot of work in ringtones. That's a big area for us, and that's been actually very exciting. A revenue stream that's old now, but new a few years ago when it first started, and we've done very, very well with that. We have always given away our music for free to clients. We send out CDs at no charge, and we want people to have the music there. We've, up till recently, really restricted that to professional producers. And so them having the music available to them at their fingertips is the value add that's important to us. They are supposed to pay us when they use it. It's an honor system. I do think that most people abide by it. You're always going to get somebody who is going to try to get by with something and not report something and not pay, like any industry. But I find that most people are honest in this business. I think that more often than not, if there's a circumstance where we're not getting paid, it's because they were too busy, they forgot, they made a mistake, something slipped up. It's unintentional. Well, there are a number of ways to do it. We can't take everybody we have. We do have about 250,000 recordings, and we put out about 25 to 30 new CDs of music every month, so it's a tremendous amount of material. We try to meet the needs of our clients, and because we are meant, in contrast to some other libraries, meant to be a comprehensive resource, versus, say, a niche library that only has, say, hip-hop or electronica or rock or something like that. We constantly monitor what clients need, and we make sure to meet those needs. So that's the primary responsibility, as well as sharing the revenue that we get with our composers. When there are new songwriters and composers who want to get their music heard by us, there are a number of ways to do that. The libraries that we represent, there are about 25 or so different libraries. Some of them don't actively produce anymore. They're archival, say. But most of them do produce. So what we do is we will listen to music from submissions that we receive. If we feel that the composer has something of value for us, that they're good and that they would be easy to work with and can write for library music, then we will refer them to the libraries with a recommendation. And many of those people have gotten work from us. We are now starting to do a bit of our own production. It's not a lot, it's a few CDs here or there, and if somebody fits into the style of things that we need that we're not getting from our other libraries, then we will certainly engage them in that process. And another thing that we did recently we're very excited about is a joint venture with a website called Indie 911. And Indie 911, if you don't know it, is a social network site surrounded around music and songwriters and composers. And songwriters will create a web page, like a MySpace type page. And they will put up all kinds of information about themselves. There's video, there's music, there's influences and wikis and blogs and tour dates, things like that. And you can put your friends on, and it has this, the network effect, the multiplier effect of people coming and listening to your music, and then you identify which tracks you give Indie 911 the right to offer for download. And then the public comes in. If they want to buy the track after they've listened to it, they pay the 99 cents. What we've done with Indie 911 is created an exclusive synchronization agreement. So everybody on Indie 911 gets offered the right to submit songs for participation and inclusion in the APM synchronization library. So we've created a new Indie 911 APM library. And so if a songwriter has an Indie 911 page and they would like to have their music considered, they would indicate that by their number of clicks or something. I'm not exactly sure how it's done. And they submit those tracks to Indie 911 first. Now, it's only on a track-by-track basis, so if that artist has 100 tracks and they only want to submit one, it's fine. We don't represent artists. We only represent music. And it doesn't have to be the exclusive everything that they own. So we're not managing them. We just are looking for good material. So let's say they pick 5 tracks. They'll send those to Indie 911 who listen to them, and then if they like them, they send them to us. And we listen to them. If we like them, if we feel that they are going to be good for synchronization, we don't want to take things on that we're not going to be able to do justice to. And then we put them in the library. They stay in for a minimum of a year and longer at the option of the artist and us. And we do our best to generate revenue for them. Yeah, it's dependent on the usage, or the clearance, as we call it, or the set of clearances that people need. And the rates are generally related to a variety of 3 or 4 different factors. One of them is how many people are going to see that piece of work. So it's on television, it's going to get a very, very broad view. That means one thing. If it's feature film, it means something else. It also has to do with the budget and the scope of the project. For example, for use of music in feature films, we have different rates if it's a budget under $1 million, under $5 million, under $10 million, and then $10 million and over. And so that's the needle drop rate card rate structure. It varies, can be in the $50, $75 all the way up to thousands of dollars for usage in a film trailer, because those are very high profile uses. We do license a lot of music for website usage, and recently we've gotten into the whole user-generated content area, and that's proving to be a very, very profitable and growth area for us. We have a joint venture with Al Gore and Current TV, the network that he owns part of, and we're very, very proud of that, actually. It was a landmark deal where they've taken a different approach than the YouTube type deal, where anybody can post up music. On Current TV, you submit your video, and Current TV considers it, and if they like it, then they put it up. But they put it up conditional upon the music being cleared. So either you've delivered cleared music, or you have to replace it with our music. And we have a handshake technology, where somebody can come to our website and will listen, and then they get, for that video, Current TV calls it a pod. They have the right to download a certain number of low-resolution versions of our files for use in that video, and that gives them the right to post that video on Current, and on the Current website and on the Current TV channel. Well, ringtones are an interesting area. There was a feeling when ringtones first started that it was only commercially released songs, or the songs that were well-known TV themes or movie themes, that were going to get used. That's proven not to be the case, at least for us. I don't think we're making as much as 50 Cent and other people, but we certainly do very, very well, and we have a large body of work, so there's a bit of a long tail effect that happens. And so we have developed thematic packages of music of different kinds. So we have holiday music, all in the public domain, recordings that we own of songs that are in the public domain, or original songs that we've written that are holiday songs. And so around the different holidays, we'll put out Easter packages and Christmas packages and other kinds. And that has done well for us. We have hip-hop packages and salsa and other things that are genre-specific. In addition, we own a number of well-known themes that were originally written for library, to be part of the library, but actually became well-known themes. There's an opening and closing theme to This Week in Baseball that we have been licensing both of them to Monday night to Major League Baseball for 30 some odd years. We also own the Monday Night Football theme that we've licensed since the early 1970s to both ABC and now ESPN. We own the People's Court theme, the Wimbledon theme, the U.S. Open theme, and a bunch of other ones. Those have all done well in ringtones. These, I wish I'd written them personally. These are themes that were written originally to be library tracks, like any other track in the library. Somebody produces a show, they're listening to the library, they like the track, and they decide to use it as their theme. In the past, that used to happen a lot more than it does today. Today, most people are smart, and they know that there's a lot of money from the performing rights societies if you own the theme, so they tend to write their own theme. So we see less of that, although we still do some. There are a number of different rights that are contained within music, and from each of them, hopefully, there's a monetization. The first one for us is synchronization, whereby that's the act of actually synchronizing or editing the music in timed relationship to moving footage or to audio. And the right to do that is not inherent. And there's no compulsory license for synchronization, and therefore the producer or editor needs to go to the content owner of the music in order to get those rights. And we charge a fee for that that is based on clearances, based on what they want to use it for. And that's one part of the monetization of our music. The second part is the performance revenues. In music, there's an inherent performance right that you have to license. You can't just perform the music just because, say, you own the CD. And when they say performance, they mean a public performance. You can certainly perform it in your home, and if there's no monetization for you connected to the use of that song, then you're free to perform it as well. But if it's a public performance, and the performance word is from the old days before recorded music, today really it's broadcast. If the music is broadcast or played in the club, either live or on the radio or whatever it is, then you're supposed to get money for that usage. Now, it's not a linear relationship between every time it's performed, you're getting paid. What happens is that the venues that are performing music, be it a club or a concert hall or a network or a TV station, pay a certain amount of money to the performing rights societies, who then make deals with, they pay blanket fees or negotiated rates or per-use rates to the societies. The societies then collect all of that revenue and distribute it to the members who, the composers and songwriters who have signed up to have their repertoire represented by that society. And not every single usage gets paid, because there are so many millions and millions of uses, it would almost be impossible to pay every one of them. So in some parts of the distribution, it's a statistical sampling that they do, and if you're lucky enough to get into the sample, you're lucky enough to get paid. Otherwise, you're not. So it's not an exact one-to-one thing, but the concept underlying it is that there's a performance license that's needed in order for somebody to perform your music, and you're supposed to get paid for that. And we get a share of that. It's a nice extra revenue stream, and is very, very important for composers. The publishing income is divided into two parts. There's a writer share and there's a publisher share. So in most cases, our writer gets the writer share, and in most cases, we also get the publisher share and keep that. So it's a 50-50 split of the publishing, of the performance rights. We don't do licensing itself on the website in the sense that there's no credit card function. You have to become a client. So you can look at our website, study us, you can put in an application to be a client, and then we actually review every single application. We call and speak to every single person, make sure that they're legitimate, and we explain to them how it works. Then that person will tell us whether or not they're interested just in a needle drop, working on a needle drop basis, where if there's, when they have a use, they'll come back to us and let us know, and we negotiate something, or if they're interested in something that they've got that's coming up. They've got an episode they're producing, they've got a series they're producing, they represent a network, they're working on a ad campaign for a client, whatever it is. And then we negotiate a rate for a bunch of usage. And then we have a contract, and they sign it, and they pay us, and they use it, and that's how it works. It's a very interesting world. Music in video games is similar in structure to music in feature films, in that a majority of the music that you'll find in both video games and feature films are done by composers where there's an original score, because it's wall-to-wall music, and it would be to some degree difficult to score that just with library music, although it can be done. We have had shows that are just scored with library music. In fact, on television it happens all the time. It's rare in feature films, and it's rare in video games. And what where our music is used in those venues is as fill-in music, where there's the score doesn't cover a certain thing, the composer doesn't write that way, or it's a kind of music it's not necessary to do. For example, you're in Paris in a scene in a movie, and there's a club scene where somebody is singing in a style reminiscent of Edith Piaf. You're not going to go and license the Edith Piaf song and spend $50,000 or whatever it is. You're certainly not going to go and hire a French band and find a singer and record it all, for the 15 seconds that you need that music. You're going to come to us. Because we've already hired the band, we've already found the singer, we've already recorded it, and it's sitting in the library for a relatively inexpensive price. So for $500 instead of $50,000 or $10,000 or whatever, you totally satisfy your needs. So we license thousands and thousands of songs into feature films. In the video game world, it's the same thing. And although I would say that in video games, actually, we have per game we have many more songs than we do in feature films, because video games are nonlinear and they branch. And so depending on where you may end up in a part of the video game where a certain type of song is needed, but you're only going to be in there for a few seconds. And if the composer were going to write every single second for every single part of the video game, it would be very expensive and take a long time, and he'd have to write in many, many different styles. So again, if the video game takes you to that French club, then you just license a few seconds from us. And we do thousands of songs into video games. We work with all of the major developers and publishers. We had a couple of interesting ones recently. We have, I forget exactly how many songs, 40, 50 songs in the Godfather video game that was put out by Electronic Arts. Then there was another game put out by Midway, LA Blitz, where they had our logo all over the place. It's the cars driving through Los Angeles, and on all the different buildings they put the APM logo up, which is really fun. And then there was another game, which I forget which one it is, where we had there was a radio station, or a series of radio stations. So I think like you're in the car and you can click in the game, you can click on the different radio stations. All of the music in all those radio stations was ours. So there are a lot of really interesting uses that happen in video games. We happen to work very closely with the video game business. We represent the Electronic Arts catalog. So all of the music that Electronic Arts has produced for its video games that they own and control, we've cut up for them and put into a library format where we have a main version, we have a version often that's like an underscore version, and then we have cut downs 30 and 60 seconds that are useful for commercials. And we named them and described them and registered them and did all of the work and organized them into CDs and put them online. And so somebody can license music from the Harry Potter games, Lord of the Rings games, The Sims, Command and Conquer, and the Madden games, things like that from Electronic Arts. We also have another library called Endgame, where we actually went out and worked out deals with the top 20, 25 video game composers in the world and got their music into music that they own, not necessarily in a game, and it's not necessarily game music. It's just that they're doing really interesting things. So we went out and we got music that they own that was sitting on the shelf and had them edit it and organize it, and I have an executive producer overseeing that project. And we've assembled it into a nice library of music. And it's really, really great stuff. We have about 10 CDs now so far. No, we don't take any fee.
You just split the...
We just split the revenues that we receive. Mm-hmm. It's growing enormously, actually.
Why is that?
Well, a lot of reasons, actually. The collective of people who work on this are very, very talented. It starts with the music. We have what's considered to be the best music library in the world. We're lucky enough to represent these incredible catalogs out of Europe, and we've added to that over the years with very carefully selecting the type of libraries that we represent and the music that's produced. We have, generally speaking, a different type of relationship with the composers, where they get compensated in perpetuity and a share of revenue. A lot of the libraries, especially here in the United States, do buyouts of the synchronization rights. So the composer will get a small creative fee. The only thing they get after that is the writer share performance income. For the most part, we don't work that way, and we're very composer-centric. And I think that that's really made a difference over the many, many years that we've been doing this. And the libraries that we represent, some of them have been in business way before APM itself was in existence. And some of the earliest recordings that were recorded for the library go back to the mid-1950s. And music that has been acquired additionally goes back to the earliest days of the 1900s. I think that we, not only do we have good music, but we're very, very customer focused and customer service focused. I think that's extremely important. The music directors that we have are excellent. They know the library, they know clients' needs, and they're probably the best experts out there at recommending music for use in moving footage. One of the women has been here 24 years, another one 18 years. It's that kind of history. I think there are a lot of interesting areas of new uses. We are seeing the proliferation of digital television channels. Those are growing frequently. We're constantly getting new inquiries for that. IPTV is the next big thing, where anybody who has a website will, at some point, once the technology allows it, will be able to seamlessly see the video components of that on your television screen in good quality. So anybody can create a television channel. All you need to do is log into the website, and there it is on your TV. That's going to open the door for so much production. The sheer amount of production that's happening today is far beyond whatever was happening before. And the biggest area of all is user-generated content. And, of course, the trick there is monetization. How do you get paid? And there are a lot of models that are being worked out for that right now. And but that's a huge area. There are 150,000 videos every day uploaded online, and that's a lot of content, and people need music for that. So we're not apt to just give it for free. We're working on different monetization schemes. Our large joint venture with Current TV is one of them, and we have other ones also, and working on even more. And so I think that how that all works is going to be played out over time, but clearly it's a big area. Yeah, it's all work for hire, so that the copyright is retained by us or by the libraries we represent. However, the revenue share in most cases, 99% of the cases, goes on in perpetuity. So when we get money, the composer gets money on the sync side, and then, of course, the performance is split 50-50. Yeah, contractually it's a work for hire with an obligation to pay and share the revenue. Yeah, but the copyright is owned by the library. Now, there are cases where we don't own the copyrights, like the NFL music, the EA music, things like that. We don't own those copyrights. And EA owns them, NFL owns them, but we don't own them. In the Indy 911 project that we're doing, we are not taking ownership of those copyrights, but these are primarily songs that people have already written. What we're doing, the only right we're getting is the exclusive synchronization right for no less than a year, just for that song. And that has proven to be fine with a lot of artists, and because they don't have to give up their entire catalog. But in that case, we don't take on the copyright. And the rationale behind that is that what is current today, what networks and cable networks and broadcast and studios are demanding today in terms of independent singer-songwriter material is not going to be the same thing that they're going to be demanding a year from now. The styles change so rapidly that to make a large investment in production of music across a very, very wide variety and broad scope, breadth of independent music doesn't make sense. The return on investment won't be there because we're not going to have all of the other monetization parts of mechanical sales and things. And so an artist who's created a piece of work in their home studio or whatever has a vested interest in wanting to get that out there. And this, they're going to obviously go the digital download route and the marketing route, but this realm of synchronization through this mechanism that we've set up offers a very, very easy, virtually frictionless way of independent writers being able to get their material submitted and heard and possibly accepted and then distributed for consideration by people who are doing synchronization. And they're not giving up any more than they would be giving up if it were just coming into the library, and they're not obligated to for the long term. So I think it's a very, very good way for artists to get known. As we build more social networking capabilities into our own sites, we're going to be able to share marketing. We're going to be able to offer marketing assistance to these independent artists. So somebody's up there on the page, there can be a link that says click here to hear more songs by that artist, that kind of thing. The material comes from them to us.
Right.
and then we take it in and we synchronize it. And so for synchronization, they're in our universe on our website. And if they, let's say they find a composer, a songwriter that they like, there'll be a button that says click here to hear more by that songwriter. And then firstly, we'll take them to other material that we have. And then after that, if we don't have it, we might create a mechanism to request it from them. We have clients asking for this and this. Is there anything else that you'd like to submit? That kind of thing. And would you like to learn more about this artist? And then some of that material might be on our site. Some will be on the Indy 911 site. So we're just working out all the mechanics of that. But that's really where a lot of the growth is going to happen. When you are licensing a song to us through our indie program, and it goes into our library, it's exclusive in our library for a year just for synchronization rights. You can do anything else that you want with it. You can put it onto a CD, you can put it onto iTunes, you just can't offer it for synchronization. And you can perform it, anything else that you want. Because it's a song that's on the shelf, and it's only a song, it doesn't tie them up in any other way. If something happened and happens that a commercial comes along and says, "Hey, I heard that song and I love that, and I was going to pay $1 million," the fact is we have that right, but it doesn't happen that often. And most of these songs have been sitting on a shelf maybe for even more than the year that we would be getting the exclusive of. So we're trying to find good material, and we're trying to be a value add to songwriters. We're not trying to prevent them from doing things. And so far, so good. If somebody already has a CD on the market, depending on what the deal is that they have with the owner of the master recording, would dictate whether or not they can actually come to us and put something into our library for synchronization. If they funded their own recording and they're self-funding and they're their own record company, they can do what they want. If they've given rights to the record company, some record company, be it a small one like an independent or a large one, then it really is a matter of what rights they've actually given that record company. So if they've given the record company exclusive synchronization rights, then they can't do anything. If the record company paid for the master, then they're going to certainly have a say in it. If the independent person paid for the whole thing themselves, the whole production, then it's just giving it to the record company for distribution. In that case, generally speaking, that distribution right is going to be limited to the sale of the CD or maybe possibly additionally digital download rights. In most cases, it's not going to include synchronization rights. In order for an independent artist, songwriter, composer to be interesting to us, they have to educate themselves. They have to know they have to take the time to learn about library music. They have to go onto our website and other websites and learn and see what's being used. Because not everything is perfect for library music. Not everything is going to get used, really. And they also should have their own style, something different that they add that they can do better than somebody else, that's really unique to them and that they feel is their strongest. One thing that I find that people do, which really turns me off, is if a songwriter or a composer comes to me and says, "Oh, would you like to use my music?" And I say, "Well, what kind of music do you write?" And they say, "I can do anything." Well, I really, it doesn't leave much room for conversation after that. And I really would rather know that somebody specializes in kind of classically based film score or hip-hop or rock or a few different genres or something. But not everybody does everything equally well. And I want somebody who really focuses in an area. So they have to be good. They have to really write original stuff, have new ideas. If the stuff is sampled, the samples have to be really good. There's just a lot of submissions that we get that are just too synthy sounding. And I think people should make sure that they take the time to get their technology up to snuff and their samples up to snuff and really master that side of things. I mean, all the technology tools today exist to be able to have really good quality samples, and they should be taking the time to do that. Also, music business has two words in it, and I think that it's really important that artists people who are creative take the time to understand the business that they're in. It's easy to get screwed by people. It's easy to lose opportunities to miss monetization. I know lots of people who've never registered at a society, which is amazing to me. There are these like underground garage guys that we've got in the library from the UK who they refuse to register anywhere. They're not registered to PRS in the UK because they're underground. That's part of their ethos. That's fine because they're choosing to do that or to not do that in this case. But I hate to see it happen inadvertently because people just didn't know that you're supposed to do these kind of things. So I really think it makes sense to understand the business, read the books. There are a lot of Al Cohn's, Don Passman. There are a million books out there to read. There's your site that educates people about this stuff, and I really, really think that people need to educate themselves. And then I also think that they should look at all the different potential areas of monetization. There's commercially released music, there's the record companies, there's publishing itself, there's library music, and anything else that they can have, live performance. If you're really, really dedicated, these are all the different areas I think that need to be explored.
And they should copyright their music and register with the performance rights.
Yeah, I mean, copyright is automatic. If you write it, you own it. And the easiest way is just to submit it to the societies. Although I don't think that they're sending in recordings to the societies. And there's probably is some kind of copyright method, I guess. You can make a recording and send it to the Library of Congress or something. I'm not an expert at that. But they can register their songs with the Library of Congress. We register every track with the Library of Congress and with the societies. And the Library of Congress registration is really, in case somebody infringes on it, you can get treble damages and you can get attorney's fees and statutory rates that you, statutory damages that you wouldn't otherwise be able to get. And so we just make sure that we feel we owe it to our composers to register every CD that comes in. Well, it depends on what it is, what area. If you're a music director, then clearly you need to know music. And not just have, just know classical or just know rock, because you don't know what a client is going to ask for. And so we really look for people with a broad base of knowledge of music who really understand music itself. And most of the people are classically trained or have deep knowledge in classical music and then have stayed with music through the years and really know it. Now, some of the people who have been here for a long time don't know the contemporary music as well, and it changes so often. I myself couldn't name you every popular band today, and I could listen to things. And when I was in college, I could tell you, I could hear 3 seconds of a song and know it was from the Beatles or Creedence or the Stones or the Doors or somebody. But today, I couldn't even tell you what. And there's so many subgenres of contemporary music today that it's sometimes difficult to follow. So we hire people who know that stuff. And so in the music director side, that's a vital area. In sales, you have to be passionate and easy to work with. I think that's probably a criteria for everything in our company, that you have to be a team player and not a lot of ego and be willing to work hard. And on the sales side, you have to like selling, you have to like people, you have to be outbound. We're a proactive sales company, not just a reactive one. And so we look for people who know how to sell. It's easier to teach people about music than it is to teach people how to sell. And so you have to have a native, I think, ability to be aggressive on that. And then we have a lot of administrative folks in the company and customer service and accounting and things, and you have to be detail-oriented and patient with people and be able to multitask a bit and really, though, be dedicated. And we have a lot of people here who just love music. And we have quite a number of composers. We have a whole bunch of people in the company that write for our libraries as well. And they've done whole CDs, they've done individual songs here. So it's just another avenue that we can give to our staff. Now, we don't use somebody's music just because they're a staff member. They have to fit the same criteria as everybody else. The music has to be good. They've got to have something unique, all of that. The will to manage is probably the most important thing. You have to want to do it. People need guidance and want guidance. You can't be afraid of it. You have to be willing to speak the truth and have courage. You have to be willing to be a leader, make difficult decisions. My personal style is collaboration. I work with a great team of executives who are really dedicated to what they're doing and to the company, and we work very, very well together. So I don't give dictates to people in a kind of authoritarian way, although I do make decisions. So I will solicit opinions from different people in the company about different subjects. And often, in fact, probably most of the time, senior management is in 100% agreement on everything, and I don't really even need to make the decision. It's already made. In the case where there are decisions that need to be made, I make a decision, and it's usually one of the ones that one of us has recommended. And so for me, that's a good management style, and I think that it's helped to unleash people's creativity here and feeling of comfort, and not feeling that somebody's micromanaging them or watching over their shoulder. And but we give a lot of training, a lot of guidance. We send people to school, and we want people to really learn and understand their craft.
So you hire good people and keep them happy.
That's our job. Yeah. We work for them.
Huh.
Yeah. Where do we see this company in 5 years? Certainly bigger and better. More clients, even more systematized and organized, more automated. The web allows for so much automation, more analytics to understand customer behavior. New styles of music coming out. There'll certainly be new areas where music will be used. There's going to continue to be an increase in production. I think the user-generated role and the effect of social networking will continue to grow exponentially and really have a dramatic effect on how people communicate. It already has. I mean, we say there's a technological revolution, and I think maybe more importantly, there's a social and cultural revolution that's taken place in how people communicate, and I think that that's going to grow more and more pronounced. Also, obviously, the concept of copyright is being challenged, is in change, and there are battles and discussions going on about what that really means. There's Creative Commons, the whole lot of issues. How do you be a music publisher, say, in the 21st century? What does it mean? Nobody knows exactly for sure, except that it'll be different than the 20th century. It's broader than that, actually. The curve is broader. It's more in the 70-30 range of things. About 70% of our revenue comes from about 30 to 35% of the catalog. Yeah. So you have to understand that in library is a classic kind of long-tail business, and because you never know what somebody's usage is going to be, what their interest is. In popular music, popularity drives other usage. So there's a natural narrowing of the use curve. The bell curve is going to be a lot steeper than it is in library music, where popularity, if it were known, has the opposite effect. People don't want to synchronize something into their TV program that somebody else has used. And so their tastes are much more spread out. And even in the iTunes world, people's tastes are much more variegated than what was possible in a restricted access mode, like a record company or at a record store, where you can only have a limited number of things available. With the much wider variety of content that's available in a digital download environment, people are going to browse and discover and find all kinds of different kinds of music. It's just exactly the same thing with library music. I'm personally optimistic. In the synchronization world in which I live, the need for music is increasing. On the user-generated side of things, people will continue to need music, and monetization schemes are being worked out there. And because people are making money from the use of music, even if it's being used illegally. Google and YouTube and MySpace all are either making money or building up the value of their companies. There's advertising revenue. People are making money. It's just that money has to be shared with content owners who are contributing to the success of those sites. And all of that is going to be worked out. So I'm very optimistic about that. And on the synchronization side, for the professional user, that's only growing. And they're used to paying, and they'll continue to pay. It's quality that makes a difference, and it's the delivery of the music. If they can find it in the search engine and they like it and they can use it easily, then it's going to continue to grow. Now, how the record companies are going to grow is a difficult challenge, of course. I'm not an expert on record companies. I don't live in that world, so I don't really know how it's going to do, but I know that there are a lot of smart people out there who know the world has changed, and models will evolve. Every change in technology changes the power structure. And we've had massive changes in technology, and This goes all the way back to the beginning of time and includes the effect that the printing press had on the church, and you see it all the way through. So new powers, new methods, new models will emerge that will be successful.
Well, then I think that we've about covered it, Alan. I mean, I
Okay.
appreciate you talking to us.
No, my pleasure. It's been really enjoyable.
Thank you.
So thank you.